What's up? What's up? So, a popular question I'm getting every day is, or a video they want to see is one of me going over how to never lose a trade. How am I just not losing? And so, I mean, right now I'm doing awesome. If you follow me, you guys know I'm doing really well. So it's not something to take out of context. People, I mean, it's crazy to think a trader is actually 100%. And I'll tell you right now, if he says he's 100% and he never actually loses, he's lying to you. That would be the biggest red flag I've ever seen in my life. But is it possible to go on winning streaks? Is it possible just to have the crazy streak? Yeah, I've gone on for a while. So, you know, I don't want anybody to take that out of context. I do lose, but you guys know, watch my stop loss video. You guys know with the way I take positions, it's never more than 1 or 2%. And something I kind of went over in my last video, I was sharing something live with how I trade inside the Learn Plan Profit and help them out with Ricky. And you guys saw in a great example. So this is Digaz's chart. This is 15 minutes. So it's hard to actually never lose when you're swing trading because of all this that happens during extended hours. Crazy stuff can happen. So how I manage that is I keep my position sizes manageable. So if I would never get in here because it's obviously a peak, but every time the market's about to close, I assume or I'm ready for this to happen. I'm ready for it to sell off. I know what happens if I think that something crazy like that is going to happen. If there's something leading up to it, then I will close my position. And this is something you need to think about if you are subject to the PDT rule. Are you going to swing, and how good were your zones? I do swing all the time, but I'm pretty experienced at finding these zones, so I like to buy in down here. And as you can see, it's worked out pretty well every time. DGAS is something I've played a lot, so that's why I'm going to use this for an example. But on this last one, it was Thursday during this spike right here, actually. So inside the Learn Plan Profit group, they know I got in over here. I got in at 13.90 was my first. It came down. I added in at 14.30, and then I added in more up here. It brought my average to 14.57. So yes, I did swing it, but you guys saw this next day. I tagged out because it looks like it went just below it. My average was my average was 14.55, but I moved my stop loss to 14.57. So, and I don't do that because of my commissions. I don't. You guys know I don't pay those due to a special deal with my broker. But I move it up just a little bit because I know it's a market order. I don't limit sell. I do market orders, so I like to give it some wiggle room. And I want to use this as an example because this does happen. My average 14.55, I moved it to 14.57, and it stays there. If it never hit that, I would have been just fine. But you can see that I actually swung it. It did hit it the next day. It barely tagged me out. I ended up getting back in at 14.62, and I ended up selling at 15. I put my stop loss at 15.10. You guys know it rose up here, started to pull back. 15.10, I actually filled at 15.05 because it pulled back pretty quickly. But that's how I do all my trades. If I enter down here, the second I see a solid push up and then it pull back and then it pushes up, my stop loss is just under here now. Or if it's a risky trade and there's not any zones, like this pulls up, goes up, pulls back all the time. It's just normal. I'm adding in on all these dips, any significant one, not this. We're in the 5-minute chart. When I see a pullback like this, it's a few candles and then it bounces. I'm usually adding in right there. So if I were to get in here, pulls up, I see this pullback and I see us bounce, my stop loss, I just moved it up. I would have just moved it up to right there. And I don't even care about the price. There is no number behind it. There's no math. I wait for the candles. I let the candles show me. For whatever reason, if I'm trading on the 5-minute chart, I'm waiting for the 5-minute candles. That's what I'm watching. I'm letting the charts do the talking, and I move my stop loss up. So we'd see I get in here, and I'd be watching this. Might have even thought about moving it right down to here. And there's a good chance I probably would have. I don't ever play the 5-minute channel, but on a 4-hour chart or hourly chart, I probably realistically would have moved it right to here. I would have seen this, come back and test this. I would have moved it right here. I would have stopped out right here. But look at the 5 minute, I'd probably give it a little bit more wiggle room because you guys know that's just not something I trade. But I get in here and I'd move up, and once I saw this aggressive push up, it's not aggressive because I wouldn't call that aggressive because it's a 5 minute chart, but you guys can see that candle is considerably bigger than the other ones. Once I saw that and then it goes sideways a little bit and push up, I would have moved my stop loss at that point up to here. But if we scroll out, I have this yellow dashed line, which you guys know are my price levels. Anytime I'm in something and it pushes up above one of my zones, I move the stop loss up behind it. And it's that simple. There's a few ways to lock in profits. Something Ricky and I always say, lock in profits. Ricky will just sell. Sometimes he sells it and you guys know it shoots up. Or like I like to lock in profits by just trailing it. 95% of my trades stop out because I'm just trailing it up. I'm manually moving up. I don't even use a trailing stop loss anymore. Just because this can happen. You'll set a trailing stop loss up. It'll push up, pull back, tag it because you've already ratcheted it up, and then it just shoots up again. So I like to manually do it. But once I move it up, I don't ever move it again. I even knew full well. I had so many signs and indications that this, on Thursday morning, when I was in DGAS, look where it bounced. I had my stop loss at 14.57. I didn't care, but I had every indication it was probably just going to bounce right around there and turn around, but I don't like taking a loss. What if I was wrong? Because it can happen. It would have come down here. I would have just said, no, it's going to turn around. That report could have come out. We could have skipped this green candles right here, and then these next red ones would have been the play, and it would have just shot down, and I would have been out. I would have been so upset that I moved my stop loss, but because I was up, I moved my stop loss up to just past the break even. And right there, it was nothing. And the beauty of it was I got back in, and it was another great trade. So just a quick video I wanted to make for you guys. I am getting that a lot. Lock in profits. It's something I always say. If you guys follow any other good traders, they're probably saying the same thing. Lock in profits. There's many different ways. That's how I do it because I like to let the winners run. I will get in a trade, and the second it pushes up, if I think it's an iffy one, something like LABU or like a biotech or something manipulated, the second I'm up, I'm probably already trailing it. And then I'll let it, so I'll move it to break even. Once it moves up, I like to let it build that wiggle room, and then I'll move my stop loss up. But it's manual every time, and it's just me locking in profits. I don't care where it's at. My profits are where I put my stop loss at that point. I'm looking at that number, and when it justifies a way for me to move it up and still give it wiggle room, I move it up every time. So that's how, I'm not married to anything. I don't care about it. I just let the charts do the talking. I trail it every time. And, that's how I'm always ahead because, any money is better than negative money. I would rather stop out at zero and reassess the situation, just like I did with DGAS. It stopped out right at zero. All of that, I was still up because of my original one down here. I just took a pretty big position. But all of that was for nothing. But it wasn't a loss, which is the most important part, because I tagged out, and you get the notification you tagged out. And then I was able to reassess it. What's going on? Why did it tag out? And it was just because I could have just given it some wiggle room, but the only reason it tagged out was because I didn't want to lose, and I'm okay with that. So I saw it. It was still a good deal. It was still a good trade. And then I got back in. I got back in at 14.62. So I gave up a few dollars. And I didn't lose a few dollars. I gave up a few dollars by not letting it play out. But it didn't have to do that at all. So it's just something I keep in mind. I move my stop loss up. When it tags out. It notifies me. I check the situation, and I get to reevaluate the whole trade. It's going to be a new trade. And is it still a good deal if I were to get back in? Is that price still cheap? Can I still sell it for more? If not, then I tagged out, and that's awesome. I didn't lose. If it is a good deal, I get right back in, and we just keep riding it back up. Round 2. So just a quick one I want to put together for you guys, something to think about. I always say this, lock in profits, not losses, and that's how I do it. So again, links are in the description if you guys want to reach out to me personally in the Discord app. I am part of the Tech Buds group. I am one of their admins, so I'm easy to find in there. So get at me if you guys have any questions. And remember, let's lock in profits, not losses, especially now that you know how. Have a good one.